founder and editor-in-chief of Irrawaddy magazine and joins us now from Chiang Mai in Thailand. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme. Aung San Suu Kyi says that fake news is being spread about the plight of the Rohingyas in her country. Is that a plausible argument that fake news is the problem here?
Let me tell you first, I don't speak for the government. I'm a government spokesman. I'm an independent journalist. I think she, as a politician, will have to be held accountable. And her silence is very disappointing. As of today, as I was speaking to CNN as of now, that they hold the the security meeting with the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces and all the ministers related to the border affairs and the home affairs ministers. So I think it's very important gesture she's been making as of today. But I think this silence over the last days has been very disappointing. But I think the point is that we have to make is that there has to be rule of law. And when we talk about the Rohingya, and Rohingya is just a name. Rohingya is not ethnic minority belongs to Burma. We have to make clear that.
Aung San Suu Kyi, there is obviously so much hope and pressure on her to do something about this crisis. I just want to read out for our viewers what she said when she accepted the Nobel Peace Prize. She said that the aim should be to create a world free from the displaced, the homeless and the hopeless, a world of which each and every corner is a true sanctuary where the inhabitants will have the freedom and the capacity to live in peace. You yourself, Aung San, have said that she was one of the best hopes for Burma. Do you still stand by that opinion of Aung San Suu Kyi?
I'm not sure, but if you look at the landscape in Burma and if you look at who holds the powers in our country and my country, I've been along back to Burma only 5 or 6 years ago. The military has absolute power in the country, and the constitutions and giving the parliament and the portion of the parliament, the military has a lot of power in the country. And Suu Kyi is declared herself as a politician. As a politician, she should be speaking like a politician. She is no longer a human rights campaigner or Asia's Nelson Mandela. So I think she is going to play her role, I hope. But I'm very much disappointed with her. But at the same time, there's a lot of goodwill. There's a lot of good desire among the Burmese people that this issue had to be resolved, not only with the military, but also with the Aung San Suu Kyi. I think this is a very important issue for us. And also terrorism is one element that we got to take care of it because of including BBC and CNN, what they have been presenting, it has been very much black and white. There's a different nuances on the ground that hasn't been tackled by the Western media. That has to be, I think, taken care of, I think.
Okay, so let's talk about what the fake news aside, what the reality is on the ground at the moment. What is currently happening in Rakhine State? Aung San Suu Kyi says that this is terrorists and Muslims on Muslims who are causing most of the problems here. Is that the reality? And if so, why is it that we're seeing hundreds of thousands of people being forced out of their homes?
Well, I think if you look at the current episode of 25th August, when the militants who are now terrorists, ARSA, those who received the funding from abroad and probably from the trainings, cross-border training from Bangladesh and Pakistan, and they've been attacking the security forces, also targeting innocent civilians. That's why they're being called as a terrorist. So I don't think the security forces initiated the attack on the Rohingya people. So I think that's fine. I think Suu Kyi is, and her government and military rightly call them as a terrorist. So I think that this is something that we have a different kind of narrative that we have seen in our country. There's a terrorist element coming to play in this political landscape in the Rakhine State in Arakan. So I think this is the way that we have to treat it has to be very different.
What about the international response then? There are so many countries that have a vested interest in what happens in Myanmar today. you've got Bangladesh, where these Rohingyas are fleeing to at the moment. There's also, of course, Turkey, who Aung San Suu Kyi was speaking to the Turkish president most recently about this issue. And then India and China as well. All of these countries vying for some sort of influence and power within Myanmar. What are their respective positions on how to deal with this Rohingya problem?
I think it's a really good question that you have asked, because I'm glad to answer this question, because in Rakhine State, if you look at Rakhine State, India and China, particularly China, has seen big potential investment as well as a strategic location, because they are looking into the Bay of Bengal and looking into the Indian Ocean. So I think this area is very important for China, as well as India, because if you look at the Prime Minister Modi current visit to Burma, it's not just about engaging with Burma alone, Aung San Suu Kyi government, but also to counterbalance the China rising influence in our country. So I think it's very important that the two countries, as well as the U.S. and other countries, are looking into the Rakhine State with different vested political interest and strategic interest, economic interest in this region.
Just very briefly, I want to ask you then if there's any blame that should be placed on the Rohingyas themselves, this terrorists and militants from within their own communities who are to blame, perhaps, for stirring up these problems.
Well, I think they are human beings, but there's different kinds of so-called Rohingya, identifying themselves as a Rohingya. I said it earlier that Rohingya is not ethnic minority belong to Burma. Rohingya is just a name. If you look back, if you study the history of Burma, they are not ethnic minority in Burma. Just make sure to correct yourself in CNN and BBC, everywhere, New York Times. But the Rohingya, they are different kinds of elements who want to be affiliated or want to live in Burma peacefully, but also there are who are affinity to different kinds of countries in Bangladesh or Pakistan. So I think we have to look into in a very holistic approach that nuances to understand that there are problems, not just current, but also the British colonial Burma.
Okay.
The problem has been held up to now. So I think there has to be, yes, thank you.
We have to leave it there, but we very much appreciate your insight into this topic, and also for highlighting the plight of the Rohingyas and this current crisis that's going on. Aung Do, live for us there via Skype from Chiang Mai in Thailand. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.